you want to know what the Presbyterian Church teaches or what the Bible teaches? Do you want to know what the Lutherans believe or what Jesus said? Do you want to do what the Baptists do or do you want to do what Jesus said? I wish, oh Lord knows, I wish we could put our religious upbringing to the side just for a moment and realize the only standard we have is the Word of God. It's not what your denomination teaches or believes, it's what thus saith the Lord. And I'm going to tell you, they have all been wrong in their interpretation of this scripture.
I see skies of blue, clouds of white, the bright blessed day, the dark sacred night, and I think to myself,
Genesis 2 verses 5 to 6. For the Lord God had not caused it to rain upon the earth, but there went up a mist from the earth, and watered the whole face of the ground. Earth had basked beneath the shimmering veil of the firmament, a vast, pearlescent canopy of suspended water vapor high in the stratosphere. It wrapped the world in a stable, warm glow, diffusing sunlight into a gentle, eternal dawn. Beneath it, the planet thrived in tropical abundance. Radiation was shielded, and time passed slowly. Then came the flare. The star that nourished Earth, stable for millennia, convulsed in a superflare, a titanic explosion of magnetized plasma and radiation. It struck like a cosmic hammer. In minutes, the upper atmosphere boiled with X-rays and ultraviolet fire. The magnetic field flared bright in space, glowing like a halo as it strained to deflect the solar storm. But the firmament, delicate and ancient, could not withstand the blow. The supercharged particles shattered its equilibrium. What had once floated serenely began to condense in cascades. Across the globe, the sky darkened. Thunder cracked in an atmosphere that hadn't heard it in millennia. And then the rain came. Sheets of water fell, not in drops but in torrents, as if the sky itself had been turned upside down. Oceans swelled. Rivers became tidal waves. In days, mountains were swallowed, continents reshaped. Ancient cities, forests, and temples were buried beneath churning seas. In the silence that followed, a new earth emerged, raw, exposed, and cooled. The firmament was gone. The sky was sharp and blue for the first time, and the world would never be the same.
Nearly 60 wildfires are burning out of control across the West right now.
Unbearable heat out west is blamed for wildfires.
Firefighters in California are battling wildfires that are burning out of control.
Folks, we've got another micronova star. They're not only identifying more and more of these, but in this one, they were able to determine that only somewhere between 1/10 of 1% and 500th of 1% of the material dump needed to produce a classical nova is what's required for a micronova. It's another way of saying that triggering micronova events is way easier than classical nova events. It's in line with the astronomers' hypothesis that they are very common, just still hard to see.
David Thoreau's words. Go confidently in the direction of your dreams. Live the life you have imagined. We salute you!
Countryside is burning up. It is official now. It is the worst drought in a quarter century.
Sandy's effects blasted New York City, causing damage and destruction never seen before in America's largest city.
Climate change is basically putting our weather system on steroids, and the impacts of that can be really severe.
Anyone who says there's not a dramatic change in weather patterns, I think is denying reality.
We need to understand that we are living in a new normal. That new normal includes more extreme events, more disaster risks.
Tonight, the most powerful storm on the planet this year has slammed directly into the Philippines.
Climate change, erratic weather, pushes people over the edge. It goes very quickly from being a local economic problem to being a local political problem. And when it becomes a local political problem, it becomes a global security problem.
So what this has done, in many respects, is caused us to redefine and broaden the scope of what national security is.
We have inherited a definition of security from the last century, a century that was defined by 2 world wars and a Cold War.
During the Cold War, we wanted to reduce the risk of a nuclear strike on the U.S. homeland. Now we face different risks.
The sun unleashed several X-class solar flares which pushed plasma CMEs into space, impacting our planet and triggering a phenomenal introduction of electromagnetic energy into the Earth system. There were a record number of electrical glitches, outages, and fires, an aurora that dazzled nearly the entire world. But new science is also coming out that challenges what we thought we knew. A brand new ionospheric feature was revealed, the swirling vortices. They will say that we needed this big of a solar storm to see them, but the weakening of Earth's magnetic field is actually what allowed that to happen. We got not 1, but 2 extra Van Allen belts during the impact, never had more than 1 seen before, and again, this was not a record powerful impact in terms of plasma and proton counts, another sign that it was more than the sun playing a role in this event, it was our weakening magnetic field. By the way, not only are we looking for low-latitude auroral production, but low-altitude as well, as that plasma penetrates further and further as Earth's pole shift continues. The pink we've been seeing, dominating over the green colors, is exactly that sign. Pink should happen maybe once a decade. It's happening every other month now. Let's begin with the solar wind event. It's the coronal hole stream. Plasma speed continued surging higher throughout the day, but the geomagnetic disturbance peaked about 2 or 3 a.m. UTC, which happens to be about 9 a.m. local time in Bali, Indonesia, and they suffered a major blackout at the exact moment. The number one vulnerable infrastructure to solar storms, the undersea cables, are where the event took place. If you know space weather, you know those undersea cables are their major concern, along with solar panels, bit flip glitches, and transformer explosions. Folks, I hope this isn't welcoming the new normal, but our magnetic field is weakening and the pole shift is coming, and this is exactly what we'd expect to see.
It may sound like the stuff out of movies, but an asteroid hurtling towards the Earth is something real-life scientists are preparing for at NASA. They're refining the plan because in a few short years, a space rock could come quite close.
What are we talking when we say this asteroid is coming into Earth's orbit? Do we have to be worried about this?
No, not at this point, luckily, because if something this size were to hit the Earth, it would be an apocalypse of of a biblical kind.
Well, NASA is making plans to study an asteroid that's set to pass so close to Earth that this hasn't happened since the dawn of recorded history. It's called the God of Chaos asteroid. So this asteroid, it's fascinating. It's the length of almost 4 football fields, we understand. It'll pass Earth closer than some satellites.
There is an asteroid discovered in December 2004 called Apophis, named for the Egyptian god of death and darkness. It was named only after its trajectory was identified to intersect that of Earth. Did you hear about this asteroid when it was discovered? No, because that same week was the Indonesian tsunami. That same week. And so rightly so, it did not lead the headlines the way the tsunami did. So here's what will happen. On April 13th, in the year 2029, that's one orbit away from the 2036 date. It has a 7-year intersection orbit with Earth. On that date, April 13th, which, by the way, is a Friday. April 13th, 2029, this asteroid, named Apophis, named for the Egyptian god of death and darkness. It's the size of the Rose Bowl. It'll get close enough to Earth that it will dip below Earth's communication satellites. It'll be the biggest, closest thing ever to come known to come near Earth. The communication satellites are at geosynchronous orbit. It's about 23,000 miles up. This will come in at 18,000 miles. It'll be visible from northern Europe. Now, of course, a much bigger asteroid took out the dinosaurs, but we weren't around at the time. So this is in the era of observing the cosmos with technology. This will be the closest, biggest thing we'll ever see come by. Now, the orbit we now have for it is uncertain enough, because these things are hard to measure and hard to get an exact distance for. The orbit is uncertain enough, so we cannot tell you exactly where that trajectory will be. We know it won't hit Earth. We know it'll be closer than the orbiting satellites. So here's the catch. Its orbit remains sufficiently uncertain. Let me back up. In the possible range of orbits it could have on that fateful day, there is an interval range where if it threads that keyhole, we call it a keyhole. It's a 600 mile, about 600 mile, several hundred mile range. If its orbit goes through that range, Earth's gravity will be just right. Or rather, just wrong. So that it will alter its orbit so that it will hit us 7 years later.
What do we know about its passing, and is there any cause for alarm here?
Well, 20,000 miles in a cosmic sense is very close to the Earth, but there's no cause for alarm. NASA and other agencies are very good at calculating these trajectories. Very exciting mission for a number of reasons, though. It's going to study the effects of the Earth gravity on these kinds of bodies. One really cool aspect about this mission is the spacecraft OSIRIS just completed its mission to asteroid Bennu. For the first time, took a sample of an asteroid and then in a re-entry vehicle deposited back on the Earth just a few months ago. NASA noticed that, hey, we've still got a pretty good amount of fuel left, so let's not just discard this spacecraft, let's swing it back out into the universe, and they picked Apophis as a great candidate to go study. And so in a way, we're getting two missions for almost the price of one.
Earth is getting a second moon for a limited time. Astronomers say an asteroid will come close enough to Earth to temporarily enter its orbit at the end of the month.
And it's getting captured by the Earth's gravity, and it'll be part of the Earth-Moon system. It'll orbit the Earth for maybe about 2 months, and then it'll get flung back out. So we get a little, teeny tiny little moon for about 2 months.
A rare lunar trifecta in the sky tonight, a super harvest blood moon. This year's harvest moon is also a supermoon and a blood moon, which will occur during tonight's partial eclipse. It peaks at about 10:44 Eastern.
Sydney is still glowing after a rare super-sized supermoon appeared in our sky last night.
The celestial show was hard to miss.
A supermoon will light up the sky. I don't know why I said it like that.
It is pretty super.
It is.
Have you seen the moon recently? It is gorgeous. But there's also going to be a lunar eclipse to darken it. This is a rare sight.
There are two more supermoons still to come this year, the next one on October 17th. And next month is looking like a busy one for the night sky. There'll also be the Orionids meteor shower and what could be the comet of the decade.
Called C2023A3, returning after 80,000 years.
By and large, there are a few things that if you have not lived through, you'll have no context. It'll be like gibberish to you, but many of you have lived through quite a bit, right? You may be searching for understanding of certain things. Please don't get too distracted by these conventional things that are happening, thinking that we're solely immersed in conventional happenings in these last days. They are going to abruptly change. Let me paint a picture for you. Can I do that? Okay, here we go. Revelation chapter 8. When he opened the seventh seal, there was silence in heaven about the space of half an hour. And I saw 7 angels which stood before God. To them were given the 7 trumpets. And another angel came and stood at the altar, having the golden censer. It was given unto him much incense, that he should offer it up with the prayers of the saints upon the golden altar which was before the throne. The angel took the censer and filled it with fire on the altar and cast it into the earth, and there were voices and thunders and lightnings and an earthquake. The 7th angel, which had the 7th trumpet, prepared them to sound. The first angel sounded. There followed hail
green grass. Hail fire mingled with blood is cast to the earth, and all the green grass was burnt up. Just giving you a bit of a timeline, let me get to this other one. And the second angel sounded, and as it were a great mountain. Now he says, and as it were, that means something that looks like or something similar to a great mountain burning with fire was cast into the sea.
Now, if it's a Pacific Ocean impact, which we think it will be, it'll create a tidal wave 3 miles high, travel at 1,000 miles an hour, covering California and washing up in Denver. Japan's gone. Australia's wiped out. Half the world's population will be incinerated by the heat blast.
Remember, John is seeing something here. And he sees something go into the sea. And a third part of the sea became blood. And a third part of the creatures which were in the sea who had life died, and a third part of the ships were destroyed. So this is one of those telltale things. If a third part of the ships are destroyed, and it's not talking about anything on the land, right? In a third part of those things which are in the sea that had life died from something impacting in the oceans, right? But it says specifically, the sea became as blood. And that's when the waters are poisoned by whatever fell over the waters. Now, if an object that is ice, and believe me, we're going to see a lot of these objects, giant ones, if they come into our atmosphere, they're going to explode. That's going to be an aerial explosion. They normally do not survive re-entry in their solid form. They're broken into 1,000 feet vaporized. Because most of the ice out there is arsenic. Can you imagine 900 billion tons of arsenic? Listen, I'll say it again. 900 billion tons of arsenic. Exploding in the atmosphere and spreading all over the place. Landing on what? The water. Listen, when the third angel sounds, this great star that fell from heaven, burning as it were lamp, and it fell upon the third part of the rivers and upon the fountains of waters. There's no description of anything that happens to the land. And then it goes on to say, and the name of the star is called wormwood, and a third part of the waters became wormwood. Wormwood is bitterness, and a third part of the waters became bitter. Listen, and many men died of the waters. Where did they die from? They died of the waters. How did they die from the water? Because they were made bitter. The waters were poisoned, and people died from drinking the poison water. So this great mountain, burning as it were lamp, affects the water. And an aerial explosion of one of those big ice balls, 900 million tons of ice exploding in the atmosphere, would disperse arsenic all over the earth. Just like tiny droplets of mist would fall to the earth, and it would be arsenic. And that arsenic would go right into the water.
Scientists say the dispersive wave distance is unlikely to cause a
you check the
tsunami,
unit for
but
popcorn?
it will give us the largest impact since the Tunguska event of 1908. That's when a meteor slammed into northern Siberia. That's pretty cool, huh? Spectacular first images here. These are coming to us live. This is the fragment actually entering the lower atmosphere. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and impact. Wait, where's the explosion? What's the chunk of rock? Rocks don't explode.
Okay, tell that to the dinosaurs.
We are still waiting for the first images of the actual splashdown that's expected in the Atlantic Ocean. What was that? Earlier footage showed
Shortwave
that the fragment, it has hit the state of Florida, central Florida, with the impact's epicenter reported just outside Tampa, stretching to Orlando. And that fragment, which scientists are estimating was the size of a football stadium, has apparently sent a shockwave felt as far as 1,500 miles. I have to warn you, there are no words for what you are about to see. These are disturbing images. They are coming to us from a local news helicopter in Tampa, as well as an overhead weather satellite.
What?
Are some more pieces going to hit?
Bear with us here. We don't have much more information than these images. Unfortunately, we have lost contact with our affiliates in that area. The presidential trajectory were obviously way off, and we are...
Why did your phone get it and not ours?
Get people on the ground that can report firsthand what it is they have experienced and what it is they can...
John, Alan, Garrity. You have been selected for emergency shelter relocation with Allison, Rose, Garrity, Nathan, Beckett, Garrity. No one else is alone with you. There are no other receptions. Bring personal back to Robbins Air Force Base, Warner Robins, Georgia, at 9:45 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Your QR code for identification has been texted to you. Please confirm you are receiving it by pressing...
Maybe we got the same message on the TV.
But why did only John's phone get it?
Robbins Air Force Base.
I have a story to tell. It is absolutely the most important thing nobody is talking about. Earth has a disaster cycle, and it is about to happen again. Every single sign is already here. The progress of the catastrophe is accelerating. It is the beginning of the modern magnetic excursion of Earth. The Earth's field began shifting. The climate began warming. The magnetic field began weakening. The poles shifting faster and faster. It would be more than 100 years before we'd realize that the other planets were changing too. And we would wait just as long to learn that the stars in line with the center of the galaxy were performing record outburst activity, one after another, in a line, and were next. It would be 2020 before we learned that the sun's coronal magnetic fields were reacting, and the chemistry of its atmosphere was beginning to change, most notably in the helium. The changes we see from the ground are more due to Earth's changing magnetic field and its effect on the upper atmospheric lens through which we view the sun, such that the once yellow sun now looks more white at greater and greater angles of the day. I know many remember the look of the yellow sun. I'm just old enough to remember it looking white near the noon position and thinking, maybe it's just too bright to see the yellow properly way up there. First horseman, dressed in white, wearing a crown at the top of the sky. That takes us from 1859 to today. And the big question is, what happens next?
The sun is no longer yellow. The sun appears white in the sky, so bright at the top that it looks like it's wearing a crown, with the rays going in every which direction. When the galactic magnetic reversal point reaches, it will start to dim and look red. And the people's civility will surely be stolen from them when the sun turns red in the sky. As the dust accumulates and the sun turns black, everyone will know that judgment is upon us. And then when what we call the solar micronova happens and it blasts that material out into space, through the dust and all that material, we will once again see that pale yellow hue, but hell follows with it.
The blast itself creates a titanic outburst of light across the spectrum, and cosmic rays following right on their heels. The light arrives in 8 minutes, but has the potential to burn the sun-facing region directly looking at the sun at that time. The high-energy proton cosmic ray storm that ensues will be an invisible component of the disaster, as if anyone could take their eyes away from what would be coming right at us at that time. These cosmic rays integrate with the Earth's magnetic field and may begin the turning over of the Earth via the full planet electromagnetic insult. But before long,
The actual shell arrives, and it arrives with the smallest and most energetic parts impacting first, a mega CME shockwave that compresses the Earth's sun-facing fields while surging them, creating the arc discharge others call the thunderbolt of the gods.
Confirmation that Greenland ice not only melted away completely during the recent geologic past, but that it was indeed the entire island. While the paper uses this rapid change fact to offer fear about sea level rise due to melting, it also means that the ice reformed to the tune of 2 miles thick in much shorter time scales than they had imagined as well, during a period when they used to think it was relatively unchanging. With geologically slow transformation, it melted and reformed entirely.
Plasma shockwave struck Earth's magnetic field around lunchtime in the United States. It was very fast and moderate density shockwave with a powerful embedded magnetic field. The magnetic disruption to Earth came on much more quickly than anyone anticipated, and that includes me, who knows Earth's magnetic field is weakening. The geoelectric dynamics were furiously amplified in the Western world, and no, this mapping doesn't exist for anywhere else. But it was quite the pulse that we took as the geomagnetic storm reached level 4 just from this first impact, which was probably a combination of the first 2 eruptions, maybe 3. Magnetometer pulse was huge, similar to some of the biggest storms of the last 20 years, and we're just getting started.
This is where we hold them. This is where we fight. And these shield boys.
The moral to be drawn from this dangerous nightmare situation is a simple one. Don't let it happen. It depends on you.